Today we're making vintage carnival crafts for Halloween. Keep watching. I'm Brandy, and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome. Okay, so you can find these little signs, something like this at Dollar Tree. I've had mine since last year. Here's another little sign, maybe from Dollar General, just something small. This is the inspiration for the video, these Carnival Night Party Halloween little paper cutouts, and I did get these from TEMU. TEMU. I've been corrected so many times. But anyway, they're really cute, and that's what I'm going to use. And then I'm going to be using some scrapbook paper. And these are just a variety of ones that I picked out of a box that look similar to the theme, I think, for Halloween and for this vintage kind of carnival look. So just to give you an idea. Here is the box. This is a spell book box that I picked up maybe a couple of years ago, probably from Goodwill when I was out thrifting. And I decided it doesn't work right now, didn't want to replace batteries. It just looks like a treat box. But we're going to use it to make some light up decor. So it is from Hallmark. Very nice. It's flat on the back and it does have some raised areas on the front. I won't be working on the front of this book. I think it's cute the way it is, so I'm going to leave it just like this. I will start by removing the battery pack, and I assume it screams or makes some type of a festive Halloween noise when you open it up generally. But it's just in a little recessed area that's cut out of the paper, so I'm just going to pry it out a little bit. And then it looks like it was just really glued down there with some little tacky strips. I'll just put that aside, or we can chunk it. And there's already an area here for us we're going to leave just like this to put our new lights into. So there are all kinds of string lights that you can get. I prefer these. I get them from TEMU. They have 3 different settings on them, and I do have those linked in the description box of almost every video. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. Go and get whatever type of little string lights you want, as long as they're long enough to go around the entire inside of whatever box that you were using. And you can see that they're both yellow lights. They're not that bright white look. They're a very warm color. So you can use whatever kind you like. The other one there is just like a cork type that you put in a bottle. I'm going to give it a good dusting and cleaning and brushing, whatever you need to do to get your surface clean. All right, and then to choose whatever type of paper. Now I lucked up with the paper being almost exactly the same size as the box. Love it when that happens. So I'm getting ideas of how I want to put these papers out in here to cover what's already down there. If you don't have scrapbook paper, you can use wrapping paper. You can maybe paint it. You could use it the same color. You could cover it in a little bit of fabric. I'm just looking here to decide which one I really like because I went through that pack of cutouts and chose 3 different houses that I want to use, and then I have another one left over for another project, so be sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything when it comes out. So I thought, in order to not take away from all the beauty and the details of those cutouts, that I would just use a solid, sort of a rusty orange color on the inside. I'm just going to place it down in here, and I'm going to snug it up into the corners and onto the side there, holding it in place. And then I'll just take my fingernails and crease it on the side. And this is my little squeegee. You can do this with a credit card or with the side of your ruler, whatever works for you. All I'm doing is making a nice crisp crease in there. It is going to remind us of our placement when we decide to glue it in place, and then it is also going to lay nice and flat. So I can either overlap it or cut it off where it goes over onto the front inside cover. I think I'm going to leave it, and we're just going to work with it as it is. So again, creased it with my hand, nothing extremely mathematical going on here, no algebraic equations. We can do that here on this channel, can't we? Yes, we can. So I've decided to use Titebond because it is very, very thick. When you use Mod Podge, it's a little bit thinner and it can cause some bubbling And I've not had that trouble with the Type Bond. It's very, very thick. So I'm just going to go along on the outside areas where the glue and the paper are going to meet in the corners to make it nice and flat. It's really not necessary to go across the inside of it. This will hold it in place as it is. So carefully gonna drop that back down. If y'all hear any crackling, my boyfriend's dog is here with us this week, and I bought him a couple of little toys, and they're crackly toys, and he's playing with them right now, so he's very happy. He's on the couch in the other room while I toil away in here and work. Not a care in the world. You know how pups are. Okay, so then I'm going to just press it down with my fingers, and you can also use a squeegee here to do that. And clean up any glue that comes out. Although I have to say that this glue, this Type Bond, does turn clear, so you won't have to worry about white gunk on there. To finish off the edge where I folded it over, I went ahead and added a little bit of hot glue and then quickly worked to push that down into the glue. This is just a little more of me doing that little cleanup. This is a little sanding stick. It's got a sander on one end. It's almost like that you would use to clean up your fingernails. It works really well to clean up in tight spots and corners where you can't reach normally. So far, so good. I'm liking this. And, if y'all have other ways of doing this and other ways you would prefer to do it, go ahead and do it that way. I don't do, book covering and resurfacing for a living. This is just something that comes out of my head, and I feel like it's the easiest route, and so I like to share those tips with y'all. But I'm never talking down to you or being condescending. So for the few of you who chose to make ugly comments on the last video or so, it really wasn't necessary, but you didn't take my joy, so I hope you have a wonderful day. Okay, next I'm going to choose something to go on the inside cover, and I decided to use this really pretty checked paper. It's sort of a brownish rusty color with black. Again, it looks really good to me with the coloring of the cutouts that I used. I think it's going to be really nice. But you use whatever kind, like I said. And then if you find, if you don't have this book, what do you do? Okay, I don't have one of these books. What about those storage boxes that have the flap on them that you can get from Dollar General and Family Dollar and any pretty much craft store to store your photographs? Something like that would be really good. And then you could just decorate the outside too, right? Lots of ways to do things. All right, so now I've got this trimmed down, and I can add it on the front. Now I'm going to sort of center it. I realize that the cover is larger, so there's going to be some orange showing here, but we're going to trim that out with some ribbon later. So it'll be covered up. That doesn't need to be a big concern. But again, if you use contact paper or you use something that's larger, you can cover your surface all the way if you want to. Adding on that glue again. I don't want to take it all the way to the outside because when I press it down, then the glue will squish out. It still does to some extent, but not like it would if you were right on the edge. Okie dokie. You can just slide it in there. And then I'm just going to press it down and press it into place. This is very easy to do. You know all the tricks if you've been here long enough. You know about squeegees and you know about using credit cards or your driver's license or any hard surface like that to do the same trick. A rubber spatula, whatever you choose. But if you're new here, those are all really expensive ways to get the job done the same way. We want you to save your money while making it your own. All right, so now you can see it is not entirely flat. That's okay. I'm not upset about it. I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue here on each of the corners. And if you wanted to go right down there, you could, right down that line with it. But my thought was it needs a little bit of room to be able to move when you open and shut it. So I'm just going to leave it with a little bit of a gap there. Now I'm going to use what was left of that paper, and I'm going to come in and line the where the paper edge would be on the box if that was actually paper. And then I'll just cut a straight edge on that, and I will use that on that inside piece. Now, because we have an area here where we're going to be putting a light, I need to be able to get to the switch to turn that on and off, but still kind of disguise it. So I'm going to just hold it with my hand, go up to the edge of where that box is, fold it, press it in place. I'm just doing that with my nail, if you can't see up there in that corner. Okay. Then I'll take my pencil and I'll just make a little line here, because part of this can be glued down and the other part is going to create a little flap. Double checking, because you know I don't want to get the ruler out. You know how it goes here. Okay, so now I know where I need to cut. Thank you to my channel members. Every little thing that you do counts, and it helps my channel to grow. So now I'm going to cut up to that little notch that I made. And now I'll be able to glue down the shorter piece to the back and have the larger piece as a flap. And I know you can barely see it, but you see now what I mean? Easy. And we'll just use a piece of Velcro in a minute, and that's what we're going to use to open and close it so we have access to the light switch box. We're going to go in here again with the same adhesive. And if you wanted to use a glue stick for this, that would probably work. Maybe even double-sided tape. Lots of ways to do things. Okay, so you can see what I've done here. If you're worried about it getting too gloppy or whatever, you can get a paintbrush and kind of move it around a little bit. It is thick though, it's thick. Not as thick as school paste, but a whole lot thicker than school glue. Okay, pressing everything down. We want to make it nice and smooth. If you get any residue, you want to get that off so you're not smearing it all over the top of your paper and discoloring it or lifting up the print. Some pieces of paper just have a print on the top and they'll come apart. Okay, now I've laid out some pieces here. I've chosen the ones that I think I want to use, and I've decided to use like wood blocks and wood pieces. These are like a larger Jenga, some little square pieces from Dollar Tree, some random little pieces of stuff that I pick up at the thrift store. You can see there's a variety of sizes and depths, and I'll show you here just to give you an idea of the different heights you can create by stacking them or using one at a time. Because I want to create some dimension, I don't want all of these glued down to the back of the box. If you choose to do it that way, it's totally fine. I have found that there's a lot more interest in a piece when you have some depth and dimension, which again, I know y'all are probably tired of hearing that, but it actually does create more shadow and lift, and it just gives it a little more whimsy, in my opinion. You can see the difference in the shadow around the edge. These are in different, different depths from the back. I'm just showing you here. I like to lay it all out first and then decide how I want to do it, where I want to put it. And look at the cute little folks over there in their Halloween outfits. We're going to say they're girls, but who knows? Who knows? The little Halloween fairies and creatures, and I think they're so cute. We're going to make them fly in a minute. Yes, we are. So now I'm going to make a decision. One of them's flat, one of them comes out a little further, and the other one comes out the most forward, and that's the one on the bottom. So almost like little stair steps. I want to be sure that I put these blocks on here where they can't be seen. And then when you glue them down in the box, you want to be sure that you only press where the blocks are. Don't push in the middle of your picture or you're going to make a dent in it. You don't want to do that. You worked really hard, right? You don't want to do that. Okay? If it's where it's close to your edge, you're going to go ahead and just paint that a darker color and it will recess and you won't be able to see it. You just want all your hardware showing. All right, so then I decided to add just a little bump there. You can see the shadow under the edge of it when you add that. You can use dots, you can use pieces of cardboard, and you can stack pieces of cardboard if you don't have little blocks or scraps of wood that you can use. Now I'm going to take my folk art antiquing wax. And I'm gonna put it on a finger dauber, but you can put this on like a little sponge brush or just on your fingertip if you're not afraid of it, totally up to you. It washes off. In my opinion, I've never had a problem, but be sure that you test for allergies. I don't want to be responsible for your bobos, your bumps and lumps, right? No, because I love y'all and I want y'all to stay crafty, safe and crafty. Now I'm going around the edges of all of these pieces that I put in here. So you'll see me going around the houses and the buildings, and I'm also going to do the same to the our little Halloween folks over there. And this is just going to, when you do like a paper cutout, the sides of the paper cutout are white because the paper that it's printed on is white. Okay? If you go in there and you add a little bit of a wax or a darker color, or even were to take like a marker, a furniture repair marker or something and go around the edge, it just to me really helps the details pop instead of seeing that white around the edges. But this is a preference thing. You can do this or not do this. And if you don't want to use antiquing wax, or maybe you don't have it, you can definitely use a brown paint to get a similar look. Or if you really want to make it pop, you can go around it with black. I remember in school when I would color, I loved to color, and I would make the color really rich and dark so you couldn't see the paper through it. And I always wanted to trace it out with a thick black line. I don't know why I did that, but I just really liked it. And I guess that's carried through my whole life because that's the way I like things now. See the difference though? It's subtle. You can see it. Use your artistic eyes, y'all. Use your artistic eyes. If you get in an area that's really tight, like around the little turrets and things on there, and you can't get in there with your finger, grab a Q-tip. Put a little bit of it on a Q-tip, and you can get right in those little bitty spots. And you can do that with alphabet letters and things too if you can't get on the inside. All right, so double stick tape or a little bit of hot glue, which is what I used. Be sure that your control is where you can get to it on the top. You don't want to glue that down. And then I'm going to go around the entire inside of this box as far as I can go in one line. You might need to use two if your box is bigger, or if your line is shorter. You might have to use two. And you can certainly use white lights. You can use a copper line. You can use, you know, do what makes you happy. I guess I'm overstressing that now because it's just been one of those days, y'all. It's just been one of those days. But my channel is about making it my own, right? And I want you to make yours your own. And we have to do that by being creative, thinking outside of the box, and thinking what we can do that brings us some joy. And that's just really important to me today that you understand that. Okay? Because I love y'all. That's why. Even those of you who question me and don't understand my process, I still love you and wish you all the very, very best. Because when you comment or you view and then complain, it still helps my channel. So there's that. Yeah, there's that. All right, enough of that. Going around. You can tell it's on my mind, huh? I'm going to add just a little bit of glue and hold it in place, but you can use like a double stick mounting tape if you want to, as long as it is something that's clear so you don't see where you attach it. Unless you want to cover it, you could cover it with moss or something, which we do here shortly, and that will keep it all in place. Continue around all the way until you get as far as you can go. Mine is almost up to the box where the control is, which is awesome because I just love it when things work out that way by accident, but I did test it first to make sure it was going to be long enough. And you can tape that down or glue it down. You could also use something like E6000 if you wanted to, but the problem is you have to hold it for so long because the wire will kind of have a tendency to want to pop off, and you don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen, y'all. I want to say thank y'all because a lot of y'all have been following me for so many years, and you know that some of the things that you're seeing on my channel here are compilation and mega videos. These are obviously designed for people who like to watch a lot and binge a lot, and they're generally the people who have been subscribed to me for a long time and enjoy listening to me just talk and watch me do my thing. It's not for everybody. It's totally not for everybody, but this type of content helps my channel while I'm doing other things that are important too. So my kids are getting ready to go back to school, and I am their primary caregiver. Their father works away a month at a time, so it's just me and my babies here. And yeah, I still have to be a mom. You know, this is a full-time job for me, yes, but working from home is not as easy, I think, as some people assume that it is. It's really not. It's really not, because you can't just shut a door and not work, right? You got to keep going. You got to keep going through all the noise and through all the sicknesses and boredom and grocery runs. Y'all know how it is, right? Y'all know how it is. But I do thank you for staying with me. And there are some scattered Halloween videos here and there that are new. So be sure you go back and you look at that stuff if you're interested in that. And also, my kids will be starting back to school tomorrow, which means that I will have more time to create. So I'm so excited. Brand new Halloween is coming your way. All right, so we did the little girls, same way that we did the houses, just different heights because it's going to look like some of them are closer to us and some of them are further back. And I'm just going to make those look like they're flying. So then I thought, well, what about a little Dollar Tree Halloween tree or a pick or a branch? So these are from TEMU, these black branches. And if you don't have these or you don't want to use that company, that's totally okay. You can look for black floral branches anywhere you want, or you can take a green branch that you have and spray paint it. Totally do that. And I decided that maybe I would make these look a little bit more whimsical by having them be almost like tree houses. Wouldn't that be cool? And it's definitely something you wouldn't expect. And I like that in my crafts. And I know that if you're here to watch me, that you like those unexpected things too. So I'm just going to decide where I want to put these and lay them out. And how cool is that, that there's a tree in the box with them? I can put some in the front and some behind, again, causing more, it allows more depth and dimension. And what that does is keeps your eye tracking. It keeps your eye moving, which keeps your brain kind of going, activated, watching, paying attention. And I love that in art, and I love that in crafts because it keeps you looking at something, almost like you see something new every time. And to me, that just makes it more whimsical and fun. And I hope that you feel the same way when you watch my videos. Um, that they're a little bit different. They're not, you know, they're a little different. Okay, so now I can move these branches around. They're wire in the middle, but they're kind of plasticky toward the outside, so they can be torn or cut or clipped apart, which is easy enough to do. Oh my goodness, y'all, I love this. And now having the little ladies looking like they're flying around or climbing around or lounging in the trees. So cute. We're gonna get those girls in place. Cute. She's cute. She looks like the moon. I know it's kind of hard with the focus right now to see, but she looks like her face is like the full moon. We're gonna stand her up over here. And then we're going to put this little one up here in the trees because she sort of reminds me of a bat, the way her ears look. Or they could be wings, who knows? Now, if you want to give it a little more whimsy, you can cut these pieces off with a wire cutter. And you could trace all the way around the inside. Or you could trace around, put them where your lights are. Now, it's going to dim your lights a little bit if you cover them up. But it would work. I think it would work and be very cute. I'll take an orange ribbon. I've got a variety of different ones, and this is the one I chose. And then using that same type bond, I'm just going to make a little line here. And this, rather than being a piece of paper that could potentially tear or not give, using a fabric ribbon is going to help. Number one, it's going to disguise the edges where the paper overlaps and it's not totally covered. And it's going to allow a little more bend where the lid closes down onto the box. And if you want to use hot glue on this, you can, but I'll tell you why I didn't. Because usually when you use hot glue under a fabric, you can see the lines. It's not smooth, it's kind of bumpy. So that's why I did this, but I still ended up with a little bit of bumpiness. But that's okay. It's all right. It's supposed to look old, and so I'm okay with that. Now I'm just turning the corner over on itself to make a little sharp edge, and since that Titebond is still wet, you can pull it down just a little, and you may have to watch it a few times to get that turn. It's hard with my camera angle to really show that. I've shown it in other videos, but you're just going to turn it over on itself. Oh, my arm's in the way. I'm sorry, y'all. And go down and press it, and just making sure that it's lined up so it's not crooked. And then a little bit of hot glue in the fold where it wraps over, and it kind of frames it a little bit. If I would have waited for my Titebond to dry, it would have been better and more smooth. But you know, I got to get y'all these videos out, so that's why I'm continuing on with the wet underneath it. But I know you get it. I know you get it. When you got a lot to do, my life is no different than yours, right? We've all got kids and grandkids and jobs and responsibilities and homes and chores and excuses, right? We do. But I hope things are getting better for y'all too. All right, so now I'm going to trim out the inside bottom of the box just because I felt like I want to use the same piece, same type of ribbon here. And for this, I'll just use a little bit of hot glue because I'll be moving really quickly. It's the bottom of the box and you're not likely to see it. So I'll just tap that on there and then fold it over. Tap, 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 trim it off where you need to trim it off. Look at me with no eyebrows. How about that? Just doing my thing over there with no eyebrows. Anyone else? Anyone? Anyone who are deprived of eyebrows? It's okay though. It's part of being a redhead, I think, for me. And then when you age, you know, they tend to leave you too. Yeah, they do. My goodness, my goodness. All right. And then on the top, I'm going to do this too, but I'll do it a little bit differently. So I'm going to apply it over the top of that goldish looking color that's already there and tap it down. And then when I flip the box over, I'll add a little more just right along the edge of it and then trim the rest off rather than folding it up because I don't want that to see once I have got the box closed. And I certainly don't want to create any more bulkiness that may make the box pop open. Now, the box does somewhat have a little gap when it's closed, but it did before when I got it to. So if you want to get some type of a latch to put on there or a band to put around it, you can certainly do that. But since mine's going to be displayed open, that's really not a concern of mine. So I just trimmed it off. Okay. Now I know I need to work on my flap for my light. So this is the only Velcro I could find. I have thinner and I have less strong. Don't pay any attention to the strength of the Velcro. You just need some hook and loop. And I think you can still get this at Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut a very thin piece that is going to fit both on my paper and on the edge of the box alongside of my control. Did y'all notice my nails were peach and now they are kind of a purple color? That's how long I've been working on the project, trying to get it finished. I mean, the summertime, y'all, the summertime. But I'm so happy with it. I love it. So I'm just going to press that down, and there's the top and the bottom still together on there, and I will press that paper into it. Press, press, press so that the adhesive on there will catch. And then I've got to do it again. Keep pushing and keep pushing. And you can also glue it on if you need to, but after I gave it a chance to set up, it worked just fine. Grab another one of those branches, and I am going to cut some sections off. And this way we can use one pick for more than one little section. We can cut it down and have short trees if we want to. And this is going to create even more dimension, like we're looking through something mystical and magical. The bottom has a wire, so I'm going to use a wire to cut that. And then you can trim as much as you want. You can make them tall in the front. You can just put them all in the back if you don't want any toward the front. But I like the idea of adding a little bit. And I'm just playing around to make sure that I'm able to see all the good stuff through there. Look, the little moon lady is peeking out. I'm making sure that I cut this short enough and flat enough that it will sit up against the side of the box. See the difference there? And I want to make sure that I have enough pieces of the branch that stick out that will allow me to put them flat up against the box and add the hot glue. Once I add the hot glue here, you're going to see me move quicker than I actually move. I actually hold that until it turns like a milky color, because it is clear when it's wet. It starts to turn milky, then it is set up. And that's what you want it to do, because I don't want these to pop off, and they will try to pull away because they're not flat. But there's our little tree there. Now we can kind of manipulate it a little bit. And if you have a branch that's got wire in it, just use your wire cutters so you don't mess your scissors up. And you can cut off any pieces that are in the way or that are obscuring your view in any way. So keep in mind, you can do your branches upside down as well. If you wanted to do some like an overhang from a tree, and you can do them sideways. It's just a variety of ways that you could do this. Now I trim away a little bit. Add some more pieces on here. Add on the bottom and sort of toward the bottom corner too. And then a little bit on the branch on the top, and hold those in place for a couple of minutes. And then move on to the next little section. And you can add as much as you want. Totally up to you. That's up to your discretion. And you can use branches that have flowers or leaves, or you could use eucalyptus, or you could use vines. There's so many ways to make it your own. So far, so good. Now we need to work on the bottom. Got to have something down here. I've got a little bit of Spanish moss, and then these are scraps of moss that I've used in other projects. This is like the green moss that you get on the ground, and you can buy those at Dollar Tree, and they're already preserved. So I'm going to take a little bit of the Spanish moss, and I'm going to sort of wrap it around in these branches, and I'll also add like a dot of hot glue here and there after I get it all wrapped around. So I think I'll leave that in so you can see what I'm doing. You could also use probably a little bit of super glue if you wanted to, just to dot it down. Or you could make webs with your glue gun if you wanted to make it look webby if you don't have moss. That would also be nice. You can put spiders in your trees, or you can put butterflies or moths or the little bug packs. You could do that in there if you wanted to. A little more moss here and there. These are just all the little extras that, some people might not feel as necessary, and that's okay. If you were ready to leave it the way it is, 3 steps ago, then that's okay. Right? That is totally okay. I'm continuing along here. And no, the house is not floating over her head. We're assuming that it's on a hill back there somewhere. All right, so to put down this loose moss, I'll get it in a minute. I'm just going to use Mod Podge for this. The Mod Podge is thinner. Like I said, the Type Bond is a lot thicker, and I need something that I can make thin enough that I can apply this moss into, and that it will dry quickly. And the Mod Podge works very well for that. So I'm even going over the top of the line. It doesn't matter to me that I'm going over that. It's going to be covered too, and it's going to be a thin enough layer in there that you're still going to see the lights twinkling underneath, so it is totally fine. You can use felt or fabric or sand. You can use little pebbles. You can use those black stones that you get from Dollar Tree. You can use any variety of any type of whatever you want down there. You could draw little bricks on there if you wanted to, or cobblestones, or whatever you want, right? And then I'm just going to take my fingers and press straight down into the Mod Podge in the places that the moss is. And if my finger gets wet, then I know that's a spot that's going to need a little bit more moss. I love the messy stuff. Love a messy crafter. So we're just going to tap out what's left, and then there's the bottom. Nice. I like that. And I think it goes along really well with this kind of carnival looking thing with the stripes and the creepy carnival. Oh, I love it. I'll take a little bit more of that moss because I'm almost out and just sort of ball it up between my fingers and put it along the base of these trees or where the trunks are, just for a little something extra. Make it maybe look like the moss is climbing up, or it's growing in a messy yard or a messy field. We're peeking through that field to see everything back there on the hill. Then if you have any little embellishments, like I believe these came from Dollar Tree in the fall section last year, you can use something like that. A little bit of hot glue, and I'm going to press it down hard enough that it goes through the moss and down into the box. Because if you just put it on the moss and the moss starts to shift or flake off from the weight, then you're going to lose it and you'll have a bald spot. This is a bell that I got from TEMU. I wanted to use a little pumpkin, but I couldn't find a plain one. All I had was glittery ones. So I'm going to use what I have. I'm going to use this little bell right here. I will go in, and I do not recall if I actually show you the steps of me aging that. All I do is add a little bit of that wax on top of it. That's it. Okay, now we're going to work on the inside cover because I thought it would be really nice to have a surprise in there, and I chose to use Spooky Greetings. It's got a little wire hanger on here. And then in that pack, there was a little clock. It's like an old Victorian looking clock. I'm going to go around the edges with that. I'm going to go around the edges of our sign too with the wax. So everything looks the same. I'll pop that down. It doesn't even have to be the middle. Totally up to you where you put it. You can put more houses, stickers, cutouts, whatever you want on the inside door if you want to, or the inside cover. That's up to you. I'll take some pop-ups. I've had these for ages, and you can see what brand they are so you can get them anywhere. And then I'm going to take 2 of those, and they're sort of foamy. They're going to give me just a tiny bit of lift, but I'm not looking for a lot on this. So it's totally up to you. If you wanted to use something as large as a bead, you could. This isn't actually going to be holding this, but we want to give the illusion that it is holding the sign up, or like the sign is hanging around it, but it's not really. Again, I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue because my stickers happen to be old and they're a little bit dry. And I'll put it on the top, and it looks like the clock is holding the sign, doesn't it? Cute. Could have left all my little glue webs on there, but I pulled them off because I want to add a little bit of moss. So we'll embellish that. We want to embellish the inside and the outside. So we'll get that all lined out and just really on the top. Just on the top. If you're looking for ways to preserve moss, there are lots of useful documents and videos that you can find on YouTube about how to do any of that. I'm not an authority on it. I do things my own way, but by all means, do your research, okay? A little more dimension here. I'm going to add a spider on top of the spider. You can use rings, like the little spider rings you get from Dollar Tree or from any store that you can put in treat bags. You see the ones down there in the corner? Those are just a pack of black, white, and orange rings. Then I have the rings that have the stones that came from Dollar Tree. I'm going to take a permanent marker and go along the white because my Velcro was white and not black, and just trace over that. It kind of puts a little layer of black on it so that you won't be able to see that white shine through there. And then I'll clean it up a little bit. I'm going to use that finger dauber again and some antiquing wax. And I'm going to go all along the edge where that meets what would be the inner pages of the book. So that little trimmed area there. And then I'll just continue that color up and down in there to make it look a little more grungy and old. This is movable until it dries, so if you make a little mess with antiquing wax, you can go back over it, a little damp, very damp, a very lightly damped cloth, and you can take care of that. You can also go over your curves and your corners, and if you wanted to go over the ribbon, you could do that. Totally up to you. Look. Oh my goodness, I love this and I can't wait to make some more little carnival things with my leftovers. I hope that y'all like this one, and if you're interested in seeing more in this theme, please let me know in the comments because like I said, I've got several more of these that I can use so that we can make like a set or a little area that we can decorate with all of these things. Look at them all in the corner. I got to shake that out. Don't worry, I do shake it out. I made a mess. Messy crafter. Shake it out, shake it out. And there we are again. And it does close and open easily. You can use your lights on flashing. I just didn't do that. Didn't show you the flashing mode because I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. And I know that flashing lights can cause problems for people. So I just have it on solid here. And I'm not concerned with the fact that the wires are showing. If you are, feel free to disguise yours in any way that you would like. You can even wrap it with moss if you wanted to. Spooky greetings. Carnival decor. These are so cute. Which one of those three little ladies do you think is the cutest? I'm kind of liking those striped tights on top, I have to tell you. I think maybe she's my favorite, the one on the top. So here it is, just sort of displayed like it would be, sitting out at your house in the daytime. This is how it would look. And it's so full of whimsy. I love that the moss is added on there too to look kind of old and creepy. Now you can see her little face. She's so cute. You can see all the little goodies in there, and there's so many other options you could do, different themes for this box. If you like monsters or the Nightmare Before Christmas, there's so many different ways. And here's the other side. Please, 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 if you are new to my channel, subscribe, comment, like. I'm hoping that this video, here it is in the dark now, is enough to get you curious about what I have to offer on this channel. And I am all about some Halloween, so get ready. Buckle up, because it's coming. Check out this little rectangle next. I thank you for stopping by. I'll see you soon. Bye.